Good morning. Hello, I'm Kalpesh Kansara from Udna Citizen Cooperative Bank Commerce College, and with me is Smriti Shah.
Good morning, I'm Smriti Shah. I'm working with iIdeas. It's a management institute.
So friends, today we have gathered to discuss the topic of summarizing. First of all, let us see the origin of the word. Summarizing has come from the Latin word sum. Summarizing condenses in your own words the main points in a passage. A summary is an abridgment expressing the main ideas of a text passage through reported speech. A successful summary is not an exposition of the writer's own opinions, but a refining of the points of the original text. In other words, summarizing is a process of condensing or expressing in short something you have read, watched, or heard. A summary conveys a general sense and includes only the main points or ideas, keywords or phrases, and crucial details. Friends, now we see the purpose of the summary. The purpose of a summary is to give a reader a condensed and objective account of the main ideas and features of a text. The objective is also to write just enough, not too much and too little. Now the question is, why do we need summarizing? Smriti, can you go ahead with the details?
Yes, sir. That is to grasp the original text better. To understand the text well, the knowledge gained by summarizing makes it possible for you to analyze and critique the original text.
That's true, and summarizing also is used when we want to provide a background or offer an overview of a topic. We want to describe common knowledge from several sources about a topic. Now, while summarizing, 3 points should be remembered very well. The first one is
Summarize are shorter than original text. Then second is they contain the main ideas of the text. And the third is they are in reported speech.
That's right. So once again, summaries are shorter than original texts. They contain the main ideas of a text and they are in reported speech. Now typically a summary will do the following. First of all, cite the author and title of the text. In some cases, the place of publication or the context for the essay may also be included, meaning you need to refer to the author and the title of the text. That is very necessary. Secondly, indicate the main ideas of the text, accurately representing the main ideas while omitting the less important details is the major goal of the summary. Next, use direct quotations of keywords, phrases, or sentences. For example, quote the text directly for a few key ideas, or paraphrase the other important ideas, express the ideas in your own words. You should also include author tags. For example, according to Arnold or as Arnold explains. That is how you can begin to remind the reader that you are summarizing the author and the text and not giving your own ideas. Now you should also avoid summarizing specific examples or data unless they help illustrate the thesis or main idea of the text. Report the main ideas as objectively as possible. You need not be subjective, you need not involve yourselves. Do not include your reactions, save them for your response. Now usually summary has between 1 and 3 paragraphs or 100 to 300 words depending on the length and complexity of the original essay and the intended audience and purpose. Here I'd like to point out difference between the précis and a summary. Précis is of fixed length, that is 1/3 of the original passage, whereas there is no fixed length for a summary. It can be 1/2, 1/4, 1/3 depending on the complexity of the original essay and the purpose.
To summarize, read the original article. The second is reread the article Find the main idea of the article. Define and underline important ideas, key terms. Divide the article into logical sections, stages of thought.
I repeat the first point. When you summarize, read the original article. Reread the article, find the main idea of the article. Define and underline important ideas and key terms. This is very useful, underlining the important ideas. Then divide the article into logical sections, that is stages of thought. The next, please.
Write your rough draft of the summary. Write step by step, sticking to the main idea and important facts, terms and dates. Use your own words.
Absolutely. Using your own language, your own words is absolutely required. So you write your rough draft of the summary, write step by step, sticking to the main idea and important facts, terms and dates.
Check and edit your version. Be critical to your work. Eliminate needles, words and repetitions. Avoid using the author says, the author argues, etc.
Yes, check and edit your version, be critical to your work, eliminate needless words and repetitions, and avoid using phrases like the author says or the author argues.
The fifth is compare your version to the original and make final corrections. Remember, in the summary, you should include only the information your readers need.
True. Compare your version to the original and make final corrections. There should be relevance, total relevance to the original passage. And remember, in the summary, you should include only the information. Your readers need nothing else.
Summarizing must be short, complete, uncolored and fresh works.
Yes, absolutely. These 4 words can give you an idea about how to summarize and what to summarize. The summarized passage should be short first of all. It should be precise, concise, compact. It should be complete, meaning all the relevant information should be included in the summary. It should be uncolored, that is, your personal views, opinions should not get into it. And fresh words, that is, new words instead of the words used in the original passage can be used. In that way, you can express your own language. Now, the essentials of summarizing.
Clear comprehension, vast vocabulary, sensible synonyms,
circumlocutions, grammatical competence, accurate use of words. These are the essentials of summarizing. I repeat, first of all, you need a clear comprehension. You need some understanding of the language, some understanding of the passage. Secondly, you need a vast vocabulary so that you can use the proper word at the proper place. You need sensible synonyms so that you can replace the words with new words, new ones, and add richness to the summary. Next, circumlocutions. You should know how to get to the word by using your own words. Grammatical competence is absolutely necessary because you should not make any mistakes, commit any errors while you write the structures of the language. And finally, accurate use of words. You also need to make use of good collocations, that is, the right word with the right phrase.
Use a simple organization, main point, main results, and conclusions, recommendations.
Yes, the organization of a summary should be simple in this way. 3 things to be remembered. The first is you should pick out the main point, the main idea, the key phrase or the topic sentence from the summary, and then you should find out the supporting details that are the main results of this main point, and you can add the conclusions or recommendations at the end. So when you write a summary, state the main point first, emphasize the main stages of thought, state the article's conclusion. Don't give a table of contents, remember this, and keep summary short, 3 to 7 sentences when it's a short passage. Now you should also remember you can add sequential markers so that it becomes easy for you to summarize the original passage. Sequential markers indicate which part of a passage comes first, next and last. Can you quote some examples, Smriti?
Yes, there is for example, first, next, then, in addition, in the section which follows. In conclusion, after this, finally, lastly, moreover.
Yes, and so more, so on and so forth. There are so many such sequential markers, adverbs especially, which can be used in summary, which define, which mark the sequence of the ideas used in the original passage. For example, as she said, first, next, then, in addition, in the section which follows, in conclusion, after this, finally, lastly, moreover, and such more words. Now, creating an introductory sentence also is very important in a summary. You can begin your summary with such sentences as these. Yes?
This is an article about. This passage reflects the opinion of dash about dash. This story expresses the thoughts of dash concerning dash. This is a book written for dash.
Right, so these are some examples of sentences which can begin your summary. This is an article about so and so, or this passage reflects the opinion of Mr. So and so about some topic. This story expresses the thoughts of something concerning about someone, etc. Or this is a book written for youth or adults or women, etc. This is how you can create introductory sentences for your summary. Now, here is an example of how you can begin a summary. The first sentence given here is incorrect, that is wrong. This article covers the topic of measuring the extent of global deforestation. Instead of that, one should approach the summary in this way. For example, according to the author of Seeing the Forest, the extent of global deforestation was difficult to measure until satellite remote sensing techniques were applied. So you see in this sentence, you have the topic sentence of the passage, plus you also have some reference to the text and a reference to the author also. So it becomes quite clear from the very first sentence what the summary is all about. Now, there are some more ways how to summarize. For example, you should include all the important ideas. To convey general meaning and style, use the author's keywords. It will help you to stick closely to the topic. So there are some words. For example, if there is a summary on pollution, a passage on pollution, sorry. So if the word is often used, and you can use that keyword in your summary by picking out the main keywords and phrases, etc. Next, if an article has a big size or complicated structure, follow the original organization where possible. If the article includes any important data, mention them. Do not forget about conclusion. Put any original important conclusions into your summarized writing. Summarizing also will include
Reread the passage, jotting down a few keywords, state the main point in your own words, be objective, don't mix your reactions with the summary.
Yes, exactly. Reread the passage. That is very, very important. You read it first time, you mark the keywords and phrases, you can underline them, you can bracket them, and then you can jot down a few keywords on a rough draft, and then state the main point in your own words. You should be always objective while summarizing. Don't mix your personal reactions with the summary. Next, check your summary against the original, making sure that you use quotation marks around any exact phrases that you borrow. So that should be remembered. Quotation marks should always be included with quote marks. You should choose the best words and expressions to convey the main idea and not to be excessive in words. Obviously, you have to summarize, meaning you have to cut short. So there is no question about including or adding more words, meaning excessive in words. Now these are some important points while summarizing. Again, identifying the key points of a text is important. Paraphrasing key points at a sentence level is also important. And locating examples, comparisons, contrasts, digressions and mere details, that also is important, so that you can omit all the irrelevant details, all the additional details that are there in the original passage. So wherever you find examples, comparisons made between things or people, or contrasts made, or if there are digressions and mere details of appearance of a person, for example, or a list of things, example, such things can be easily omitted in a summary. Then transforming the sentence level paraphrases into reported speech, that also is important. Reported speech should be preferred. Adding sequential markers, as we discussed earlier, the adverbs that are very useful for marking the sequence. And then optional is creating an introductory sentence. You may or may not find a topic sentence at the beginning of any passage. You may even find it at the middle or the end of the passage. That you have to locate by reading and rereading the original passage. Now, in most English prose forms, the key points of a text passage can be found in the first sentence of each paragraph. As I said, the final sentence of a text often also contains valuable information, and even in the middle of the passage you may have some important details. So you should be very alert while picking out the topic sentence of a passage. Now, another option for 200 to 500 word length passages is to select the 3 most important sentences, then the 3 least important sentences. This is an easier way to summarize things. The least important 3 sentences can probably be eliminated entirely from the summary. This is how you can easily get rid of the unwanted sentences. While summarizing, you also involve in a process known as note making. Making notes in the margin may also help you summarize, and that also is a very essential skill. For example, NB can be marked nota bene, which can be marked for good or important points. Then IMP, that abbreviation, can be marked for words or sentences which are important. Main idea, main argument, or first argument, such labels can be given to the sentences according to the importance. And evidence, proof, support, such words can be marked in the text so that you can pick out the supporting details. So these are some ways in which you can make your summarizing work easier. Now, as you review your work, make sure that your summary is, first of all, comprehensive. It means that you have included in your summary all of the author's major ideas, assertions and findings. You don't leave out any important message given by the author. Secondly, it should be accurate. In your choice of words and paraphrasing, you need not misrepresent the author's ideas, because what an author wishes to convey to the readers, that should be exactly conveyed to the readers. Next thing is, you need to be neutral. You try to be objective and fair and did not include your own evaluation or comments. That should be checked after you summarize a passage. Then it should be independent. A person who has not read the source text can understand what you have written. So you should not leave loose ends in your summary. Everything should be quite clear. Even if a person reads it for the first time and he doesn't have any other background of the information, he or she should be able to understand the text completely. Next, there are some methods of summarizing which are very useful. You can compress words or ideas in different ways. First of all, by vocabulary. For example, he is one of those persons who treats people suffering from certain diseases by the manipulation of bones and muscles. You see, now the underlined phrase can be replaced by a single word, as you see, and it can be summarized as,
he is an osteopath.
Yes, he is an osteopath. You see, in just 4 words we have summarized the 4-line sentence. Secondly, you can compress words by the means of ellipsis. For example, if you have a sentence like, I shall buy a car if it is necessary for me to do so. Now, for me to do so is something which is extra here, so that can be omitted in this way.
I shall buy a car if necessary.
Yeah, I shall buy a car if necessary. The remaining part of the sentence can be easily omitted. Next is you can compress the words by shorter construction. For example, as we had been exhausted by the work, we had a short rest. It can be summarized in this way.
Exhausted by the work, we had a short rest.
So we have excluded the first part that is underlined in the original sentence, as we had been. Simply you can summarize in this way: exhausted by the work, we had a short rest. So this is by shortening the construction. Next is compression of ideas by generalization. For example, Germans, Frenchmen, Spaniards, Scandinavians, the Dutch and the Swiss usually know at least one foreign language. This long sentence can be summarized in this way.
That is, most Europeans usually know at least one foreign language.
Yes, so you see here the underlined phrase, that is the nationalities Germans, Frenchmen, Spaniards, Scandinavians, Dutch and Swiss, all these just mean most Europeans. So this is how we can generalize ideas and shorten the sentence. Next is by selection and rejection. You can also compress the ideas. For example, the wanted man who wore a silk necktie and gold-rimmed spectacles disappeared from the view. This sentence can be summarized in this way.
The wanted man disappeared from the view.
Yeah, the wanted man disappeared from the view. The underlined phrase that is in between the clause, who wore a silk necktie and gold-rimmed spectacles, this is something extra which defines the appearance of the person, so that can be omitted, which is something additional. Next is you can also summarize by shortening single sentences. For example, it is with the greatest possible regret that I write to let you know that I am unfortunately unable to accept your very kind invitation. Here this is some kind of circumlocution used in the original sentence. This can be easily summarized into this way.
I deeply regret my inability to accept your kind invitation.
Yeah, that's very easy, straightforward, direct. I deeply regret my inability to accept your kind invitation. So this is how you can summarize longer sentences into shorter ones. You can also use single words or phrases for lists or groups of similar objects or qualities. For example, the young boys and girls loudly proclaimed their preference for apples, oranges, bananas, grapes, lemons, and chocolates. This can be easily summarized in this way.
The young boy and girls expressed their preference for fruit and chocolate.
Yeah, that's so easy to understand. The young boys and girls expressed their preference for fruit and chocolate. Fruit replaced for all the names of fruits there, and chocolate. Then you can also replace phrases and long expressions by single words, as we saw the example of the osteopath. Similarly, he had one of the most valuable qualities of a historian. He was able to look at both sides and judge them fairly. It can be summarized as,
he was an objective historian.
Yeah, he was an objective historian. Objective stands for the whole clause that is there in the original sentence. Next, you can also link various sentences to summarize a passage. For example, when you have such 3-4 sentences together, that these sentences can be clubbed into one. For example, we are sending a new garden fertilizer into the market. It is in the form of a fine powder. Its color is pink. You can dust it on the plants or dissolve it in water and spray.
Our new garden fertilizer, a fine pink colored powder, can be dusted on the plants or dissolved in water and sprayed.
Yeah, so you see the italicized words in the original sentence. For example, a new garden fertilizer, fine powder, pink color, dust on the plants, dissolve in water and spray. These are the keywords that have been italicized in the original passage. Now you pick out such important keywords and phrases and list them according to the chronology, and then you can frame a meaningful, correct sentence on your own in this way. Our new garden fertilizer, a fine pink colored powder, can be dusted on the plants or dissolved in water and sprayed. It becomes so easy to understand. Now you can also summarize newspaper articles and reports, etc., which become very useful at times, because today no one has the time to go through long, lengthier articles or information. So often a person is asked to summarize things, to shorten things, to save time and provide useful information. So for that,
Only focus on the who, what, when, why, where, and how of the piece of writing.
yes, absolutely, these 6 question words should be kept in mind when you summarize a newspaper information. Who, that is a person involved in the event. What is it all about? Then when, that is the time of the event. The reason, that is why. The place, that is where. And how, the manner of the happening. These 6 question words should be kept in mind while summarizing a news item. Now here's a sample of a passage which has been summarized according to the discussions we have made. I'll read out the original text and then I'll also read out the summarized version of this text. I am a Taiwanese man, but I have lived in Canada for several years now. I am surprised at how Canadian society respects the rights of women both at work and home. Personally, I believe women in Canada are better off than women in Taiwan. However, some of my female friends in Canada miss the good old days when women were treated in a different way. You see, in the past, gentlemen followed different rules of behavior. They would open the doors for ladies, pull out chairs for ladies to sit down, stand up when a lady left the table, and offer to pay the bill at restaurants. Now, however, most Canadians believe that men and women should be considered equal. For example, women now generally have to pay for their own meals. So this is the original passage, which is about 133 words. Now this passage can be summarized in a simple way. Here it is the summary of this original passage. As you see, we have started with an introduction to the text about the author and about the topic, etc. For example, here you see, this text describes the experience of a Taiwanese man who has lived in Canada for several years. He considers Canadian women better off than Taiwanese. So you see, the key idea is represented in the very first passage here in the summary. Plus you also have the reported speech being used, as it is very essential, and then you also have a reference to the author and the topic of the original text. Further, however, he notes some Canadian women feel nostalgic about the days when they received special courtesies. You see, the word courtesies has been replaced for some details given in the original passage. For example, formerly men opened doors for women or paid for their meals. At this time, most Canadians endeavor to treat men and women equally. Women today, therefore, are expected to cover the cost of their own meals. So this has been reduced up to 78 words, that is almost the half of the original passage, maintaining all the important relevant information in the text and also covering all the details, excluding whatever is extra, whatever is additional. So this is how you can get the gist of the original text. Further, you see, the ability to critically evaluate text passages and rephrase them in short, comprehensible language is an essential language skill which every learner of language should possess. Now, would you again summarize the points that we have discussed so far?
While summarizing a written or spoke text, you should bear in mind the following. Pay attention to the important points and separate them from the ones that are less important. The second is organize the ideas or points in a logical sequence. Third is present the matter precisely and in a clear language. Fourth is do not explain the significant points or ideas given in the passage. Similarly, do not add your own view or comments on the given matter. The fifth is making notes. Taking notes and presenting a summary are interrelated, since in both the same procedure of selecting important points from the unimportant one is followed. Thus, a summary can emerge from the notes.
Yes, absolutely. If you are good at note making and note taking, that is drafting or noting down important points while listening to someone, or taking making notes by while you are reading some text, then absolutely you can summarize things in an easier and more comprehensible manner. So as discussed earlier, you need a good comprehension power, you need a good vocabulary power, you need a good grammatical competence, and a vast knowledge, a vast repertory of information if you wish to summarize things perfectly, concisely, and directly. Now, these are some references which prove to be helpful for improving your summarizing skills. For example, The Apprentice Hall Guide for Writers by Stephen Reed, then The College Writer by Randall Vandermeer. There is also website www.tnewfields.info, which can prove useful for picking out summarizing passages and information on summarizing. And these are some more reference books. Enriching Your Competence in English, that is the text for the SY BCom Gujarati medium students in the Veer Narmad South Gujarat University. The authors are A.R. Thorat, B.S. Walke, S.B. Gokhale, published by Orient Black Swan. And then there is English for Competitive Exams, a Macmillan publication, which is also in the syllabus of the TY BCom Gujarati medium students, authored by R.P. Bhatnagar and Rajul Bhargav. You also have a good book like Essentials of Business Communication, published by Sultan Chand and Sons, authored by Rajendra Pal and J.S. Kollahalli. So these are some very useful guides, reference books, which can help you in improving your summarizing skills. So once again, remember that no summary is complete without your own words. No summary is complete without your skill of summarizing, and that can be done only if you have a good reading. So read well, understand well, and write well. That is the key to a good summary. Thank you for your kind attention.